Hello YouTube and welcome to iIMAGINEblank's Nerdy Book Club featuring The Selection and the Elite by Kiera. Guess what guys, you joined a book club. Did you know that? How could you know that? Isn't that awesome? You didn't even have to do anything. I mean, except like click on my videos, but you know. So you may not know this, but I love to read. I especially like to read young adult fiction because I've always wanted to write young adult fiction. And so I just gobble that stuff up. And I thought I would start a little series in the books that I've been reading so you would know what's good, what's bad, what to read, what not to read. Yay, reading! So fun fact, Kiera The Selection came out a few years ago, but I didn't want to read it because I felt like it was just another dystopian book with some girls and some romance, and I was like, meh. I don't think so. For some reason that I don't remember, I followed the Selection series on Facebook, so I was always getting these updates about the books. And then very recently, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna read them. And I read The Selection in about 3 days and The Elite in 2 days, all while working 8 hours a day and going to meetings. I don't know how I did that. I just like didn't sleep or something, but I was reading all the time. And oh my goodness, they were so good. That's not what I was expecting. So for those of you that don't know anything about this series and you're thinking about reading it, then I'll give you a little synopsis thing. We live in a world post-World War IV where the continent of North America is a whole country called Ilia. And the society is broken up into 8 castes, which decides your occupation in life and how much money you will make and, you know, kind of if you get to eat or not. On the lowest end, you have the 8s, which are basically homeless people. It sucks to be an 8. On the highest end, you have the 1s, which are the royal family, and they live in a grand palace and they get whatever they want and it's just awesome. And in the middle somewhere, you have our protagonist, America Singer. She's a 5, she grew up in a family of artists. Anyway, there's this thing called the Selection where the prince has to bring a bunch of girls from the different provinces around the country, and he has to choose a wife from one of them. And of course, our protagonist gets selected for the selection, even though she has like a 1 in a million chance. So she goes up to the castle, and pretty much the only reason she's going along with this is because your family gets paid money for you being there. So she's like, yeah, my family can eat, yay! But of course, she doesn't like anything about the palace and the prince or anything like that. But how long does that last? So I expected it to be a lot of catty girls just, you know, attacking one another, trying to get the prince, and that's definitely in there because you can't write this book and not have that in there. It would be very uninteresting and just not true to life because women are catty. But what I really loved about The Selection is this friendship that blossoms between Prince Maxon and America. It's romantic, but it's also believable, which is something that I have trouble with in a lot of young adult books where they just paint this beautiful romance that just happens. And that's not what goes on in this book. America does a lot of stupid things, a lot of things that shouldn't make her the prince's choice or the prince's favorite, and yet somehow he's still drawn back to her, and that's the reason why. And that's, I think, how real relationships develop. We don't always fall in love with the person that we think we should fall in love with. We fall in love with someone who challenges us and who makes us a better person. There's also this idea that opposites attract, which happens in real life, and it definitely happens in this book too. But of course, it's not as easy as just like, oh, I fall in love with the prince and everything will go perfectly. She's still got that boyfriend back home who shows up in the castle and it's like, what is happening? Stop being an idiot, because you can get killed. You can get killed for treason. Like the whole time I'm just like, stop being an idiot. You're gonna get like in a lot of trouble. So that was The Selection, and I really liked it because I thought it was this beautiful little love story that wasn't overtly a love story. And there's not a definitive I'm in love with Maxon or I'm in love with Aspen at the end of it, which I think is good. And obviously brings into the next book, The Elite. So in The Elite, the selection has been narrowed down to 6 girls, and America notices that despite the fact that he's basically said, I'm in love with you, I want to marry you, it was you from the very beginning, and she's still like, I don't really know what I'm deciding yet. He's starting to develop these relationships with the other 5 girls, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. Oh my goodness, that is not a good thing because America Singer doesn't really know how to talk to other people. She doesn't know how to just go, hey, are you in love with these other girls or are you still in love with me? Like, are we still a thing? Is this cool? If she could just say that just once, it would probably fix a whole bunch of the problems that happen in this book. So while I read this book in 2 days, it was basically because it was so painful for me that I just needed to get through it and figure out what happens. There's a lot of inner turmoil with America that I just find exhausting. Maybe it's because I'm older and therefore wiser when it comes to relationships, but I just feel like I can make some better decisions. Life decisions than she is making in this book. Like, she thinks it's a good idea to go on national television and tell everyone that they're basically in this weird made-up slavery system that is the caste system. The king doesn't really like that, and it's probably not a good idea to make an enemy with the king. And somehow, despite all the bad things that she does and how badly she treats Maxon, she's still in the selection by the end of this book. And you know that because there's another book called The One, which I haven't read yet, and I really want to because I want to know what happens. Although I think I know what happens. happens. It's been around long enough where I know that she's probably going to end up with Maxon, but still, I want to know how this happens. It doesn't make sense. So what I would say that I've taken away from these books is that you can, one, fall in love with your friend, which I think is beautiful and amazing, and that's what happened in the selection, and two, you should learn that your crushes are people too, and if someone likes you, you should treat them nicely. I think we get really selfish unintentionally when it comes to relationships. And if you have one person or more than one person who likes you and you're trying to figure out which one you like, and I've done that myself, but we forget that they're people too. And if you're kind of not really caring what they think because you're only caring about what you think, they may not end up liking you by the end of it, which is kind of what it looks like is happening for the main character here. So be nice to people who have a crush on you. It's just rude to not be. So what do you think? Have you read these books? Have you not read these books? Are you thinking about reading these books now that I've talked about them? Hopefully I haven't ruined them for you. I really do think that they're good books and I really enjoyed reading them. I just think that America could be a little bit smarter in some of her actions. Tell me in the comments what you think about the series, or if you don't have anything to say about the series, you could tell me what book you want me to read and review next. And of course, remember to like, favorite, share, and subscribe if this video made you smile. See you guys next Thursday. There's fringe on my kimono thing, and it's a lot of fun. I just hit myself in the face. Woo-hoo-hoo.